Hey YouTube, today we're going to be talking about grinders. I've got two grinders now. One I got for Christmas. I still need to make a video of what I got for Christmas. But I got one for Christmas, and then I bought one the day after, or 2 days after, or 3 days after Christmas, somewhere around there. So okay, let's get onto those and start showing you the grinders. Okay, the first one off here, it's from Harbor Freight. There we go. It's a 7-inch. It holds 7-inch blades. Alright. It's a Chicago Electric. In other words, Harbor Freight grinder, or it's a grinder, but it's a Harbor Freight grinding wheel also. Originally I got bolt-on, the ones with the bolts, but for some reason with this one I couldn't get them on correctly. I tried everything, just couldn't get them to fit on. For some reason they'd always rub against the grinder, or the shield. They'd always rub against the shield, so I took them back and got just the discs. The ones that look like that. It's just a disc. This is a really crappy disc. Only used it once and probably never going to use it again. I'll tell you in a minute. Let's see. So it's a 700 or 7,800 max RPM, 11 amp, 60 hertz, 120 volt. Grinder. I was just reading that off of here. You can put this grinding handle, which is really nice actually. Put this grinding handle on the top, on the side, or on this side if you're left-handed. Or if you're going to do a different project and you need it on that side, or whatever you may need, you can do it. You can put pretty much anything on here. It's got a 1/8 shaft. That's what I thought. 1/8 shaft. No, this is 7,800 max, and this wheel goes up to 8,500 max. It works just fine. Now this thing's got a lot of power. My teacher in my high school I go to, he's got a pretty nice Milwaukee. It's big and red. I can't remember if it's a 7 or 12. I think it might be a 12 inch cutting blade. Instead of being this big, it's about like that big. It's quite a big blade. And that Milwaukee you cannot run down. Like you're grinding with it, pulling the trigger, and grinding, and you can't. There's really nothing you can do to stop it. And that's exactly the same way with this one. It has a magnesium head on it. This steel here is magnesium. Overall, I am very impressed with this. I suggest getting this. A lot of guys will buy the cheap, really cheap stuff at, why would I think of Walmart? At Harbor Freight. They'll usually buy the cheapest grinder, a little 7-inch or something like that. That's just normally what they'll, buy. And they usually hate them. They just don't work, or they burn out quickly, or something like that. I've used this grinder quite a bit. Got quite a bit of wear. Not quite a bit, but I've got a little bit of wear on that wheel. But overall, I love it. It works great. No problem with it. I'm not sure what this does. It moves up and down, but I don't know what it does. It's got a locking mechanism. You can pull the trigger and lock the trigger down. So it's constantly working. I'm not sure why you do that, but you can. So with this, I am overly impressed. It's quite quiet. It doesn't have. When I was at Harbor Freight looking at the different gifts, or at the different grinders. My mom wanted me to pick one because she didn't know what she was shopping for. So I looked at each one of them and I asked her what price range did she want to do. Which normally you don't ask how much your present was, but I needed to know how much she was going to spend on a grinder, and she told me about $50. This was $49, I think. I think it might have been on sale. Probably wasn't though. I'm not sure. I had a 20% off coupon, anyways. So I got this one, and I went to each grinder and turned it by hand. And as you can hear, this one barely makes noise. Turn it the other way. Very smooth, very well put together gears. And with a good grinder, a good expensive one, it won't make any noise. This one doesn't. Doesn't make any noise either way. Now here's the other grinder I bought 3 or 4 days later. It's pretty much another Harbor Freight, except I bought it at an auto store. It's called a Buffalo Tools. It's probably the same factory that this came out of. This is probably made also. It's just another Harbor Freight. Now this one's 1,200 watt. This one doesn't tell you any watt rating, but this one's supposed to be 12 or 13 amp, 8,000 RPM. You know, supposedly better than this one, but it's not at all. You turn it upside down. You turn these gears, as you can hear. Not as nicely made. And let me tell you what, this one has got a lot more power than this one. This one I can stop when I'm using it and I'm grinding on something or cutting through something. I've got a cutoff wheel on this and a grinding wheel on that. That's just how I'm using them. And I can stop this one. The trigger is a lot louder. Not as well made. This trigger is a lot quieter. But yeah, so overall I love this one. This one's great. This one I'm just going to use it kind of as a disposable, you know, if it breaks, oh well. Now this one normally was $43, so was that one pretty much about the same price, just different place. Also a 7-inch. I strongly recommend, if you guys are going to get any size of grinder from Harbor Freight, if you've got a Harbor Freight store near you, go to each grinder and turn this. See, that's super smooth. This one, it stops quickly and is loud. This one, smooth, and it takes a minute to stop. This one's really nice. This one's really cheap and cheapy. So I suggest going and testing them out. But if you don't want to go down and test them out, or you don't have one near you and you just order them offline, I can go down and show you guys each grinder by turning it if you guys need to see that. I have a Harbor Freight near me. These red ones, you can't go wrong with them. I tested out the small, the 7-inch, and I think it's a 4 or 5-inch or whatever, the smaller one. And both of them sounded really smooth. But let me show you real quick now. I'm going to plug them in and show you each one what they sound like when they wind up and when they slow down. So let's get to that. Alright, so I'm going to show you the grinders now. I've got them both plugged in. First one I'm going to show you is the cheaper Buffalo Tool grinder. Probably the same thing. These, you can find these same exact ones at Harbor Freight. I'm not sure if Harbor Freight carries them anymore, but they might. Just cheap design, you know. So I haven't actually told you the price I got this for yet, but as you can see, it's got. Keep in mind that it's got a really thin blade on it. So this one's going to speed up a little bit faster and slow down a lot faster. Keep that in mind. But this one doesn't have the better. This one has a worse gear system in it. You know, it's louder. So. So that's the cheap one. And here's a really nice one. A little heavier, better design, better feel. There's no sharp corners. It's all nice and smooth. Much better in my thinking. Much smoother gearbox. As you can see, it takes a lot more time to slow down, but it speeds up very fast. Hopefully you can see that. When I hit the trigger on this one, it doesn't do it on that one, but when I do it on this one, the lights actually flicker a little bit because it's so many amps. And then this one again. You know, it's just what you want to get for the money. They're really the same price that they were supposed to be, but I got them. I got the blue one for a lot cheaper. Let me zoom in here. There you go. Now the red one, what it came with was the spliner. The spliner is the tool to take these blades on and off. It fits into the holes in the bottom. These holes here, in there. So it just it goes like that and goes on. I should have the spliner out here in the garage, but I don't believe I do. I have two spliners now. I got one from each tool. The spliner that came with this one is the one I use all the time. It's a much better made spliner than this one. I actually already bent this spliner. Bent it back. I'm going to reinforce it to make it work better, but I've already bent that one. Same size as spliner though. The holes match up exactly. You know, they're the same space apart on the spliner. Now, what this one came with was the spliner. It came with no blades. Spliner, no blades, and it seemed to not come with any extra brushes, which is fine. And you can find those on eBay for cheap. I believe you can buy them at Harbor Freight. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe you can. So that's what that one comes with. What this one came with was a lot more, but keep in mind these are about the same price. But this one came with more because this one's a cheaper design. Now keep in mind, these companies are having to put these out, you know, whatever price. So in other words, they're probably making a lot more off this one, and even sending it with more stuff. Came with a really cheap spliner. Like I said, I already bent it. It goes on here. It has more of a shield, which I don't like that design. It's got, as you can see here, it's got this big flat piece, where this one is not, which I like this design much better. It's an open design. This one's more of a closed design. I don't like this as much. So this one came with a spliner. Came with a grinding disc. This is the grinding disc it came with. I put it on, and when I pulled the trigger, I noticed that this is off kilter, so the grinder was shaking. So the weight of it is not, it's heavier on one side than the other side, and it's not straight this way. If I spin it, it wobbles around on my finger though. But when I spin it, I can feel that it does this a little bit. You know what I mean? So, spliner, it came with a blade, or a grinding disc. It came with the extra extra things inside. What are those called? Brushes. The brushes that sit against the motor. It came with extra of those. That's all it came with. This is from Checker O'Reilly or Checker Auto, whatever you want to call it, because they got bought out. They're changing their names all around the country, whatever. But that's where I bought this. They're having a closeout sale. So normally it was, I think it was $42 for this bigger one. And the reason why I bought this is I thought it was a small one. I thought it was a small little 5-inch, you know, so I could use it for wire brushing. When I brought it home, it was a big one, but I'm fine with that. So normally it's that price, but it was marked down to $29 and I didn't see that. And that's what they told me after I bought it. And then it was marked down, the price I bought it for was $12. $12.95, I believe. It was $13 with tax. I bought it for $12. It's a $12 grinder. And that's probably about how much they are to this one is to probably manufactured. Probably a cheap grinder, you know, but well, it is a cheap grinder. So overall, rating from 1 to 10 for the two of them, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. This one I will give it, well, let's change this up a little bit. Let's rate for all tools out there against all tools. I've used every type of grinder you can think of, Milwaukee, Makita. I've used, I can't remember what the name are. They're really, really round and smooth. Those are nice. You know, I've used every kind of grinder imaginable. Black & Decker, Craftsman, whatever. Rating from 1 to 10. For this one, I will give it an 8 or 7.5. And that's really good. Love this grinder. I think this grinder will last me a long, long time. So that's what I give on it. And I'm being a little harsh here. I'm grading this out of all of Harbor Freight's grinders. I'd give it a 10. That's out of Harbor Freight's grinders. This is the best grinder I can find from Harbor Freight. I give it a 10 there. Against all the tools for this one, I will give it a 3 or 4. It just doesn't have a good gearbox in it. You know, it sounds smooth this way, but it's not this way. This doesn't have a good gearbox in it. It's a cheap design. You know, it's sharp corners. It's not very comfortable. This one's super comfy to hold, but this one isn't. It's just square, and it's just really weird to hold in your hand. The handle's not smooth, and it's made of a cheap plastic. This one's made of a harder plastic. So if I didn't already grade this, I'd give it a 4, 3 or 4. I think I already did. So that's why I give it a 3 or 4. So that's the grade on that. Now against all of Harbor Freight stuff, I'd probably get to 5. 5 or 6 there. But other than that, that's how I grade the two of them. I'll use both of them. This one's going to be mostly my grinding, maybe cutting. This is going to be my cutting, probably not grinding. So cutting, wire buffing, you know, just the dirty jobs. This is mainly going to be cutting and grinding. And as for the wheel that came with this, I give it a 0.5 point. You know, it's there, you can use it. Should you use it? Probably not, because this one's, the weight of it is wrong, so it bounces up and down. So yes, it is there to use. Should you use it? Probably not. Probably not recommended. As for the grinding discs at Harbor Freight, that'll be another video. I'm already probably 20 minutes into this video. Yep, 20 minutes into this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you could hear me. I'll see you later, YouTube. Bye.